video is going to be about me reviewing the Naylor Editorial Wood Substitute Bone 6128 PDF file on a website called Bioresources, and it's an educational review. The website talks about using various materials as test materials for students in colleges learning to do medical work involving bone. Since there's a lot of danger of actually using real bone, unless you're doing a real surgical procedure which warrants such a risk to everyone in the room, the decision was to find wood or other materials that would act as a replacement for bone, not for implantation, but for doing experimental surgery so that the students could learn. And some of these are pretty heinous materials, but let's go for it. Obvious, immediate assumption most of you are making, including me, is that pieces of wood would work. However, they decided to go one further and look up oak, lingam vitae, you'll have to look up what that is in the normal name, pine, and spruce, as well as glass fiber reinforced epoxy, otherwise known as fiberglass, and then polyurethane foam medium density, which is used a lot for this. Now, the reason for that, if you're not aware of that last one, and also the glass fiber, is this. The outer surface of bone, which had a complicated name, I just put in the word outer surface, along the grain and across the grain has a density of 1,800 to 2,000 kilograms per cubic meter. Now, obviously, it doesn't weigh that much in your body, but for every length of it, based on its thickness, that's its density. Bone is pretty damn dense. And then there's the inner spongy layers, which have high and low density spongy stuff. They're exactly half that or a quarter of that, almost exactly. Now, that is the first thing a person would want to emulate for doing various forms of surgical simulations. It's also what you might want to use if you wanted to build, let's say, a ballistic dummy head and shoot it and see what would happen. If you're an FBI testing geek on YouTube or literally in the FBI, this would be useful. Now, this was a piece of work that was dumped on the internet a while ago and has been reviewed and peer-reviewed. I'm only concerning myself with the mechanical characteristics. It also had thermal characteristics. We have elastic modulus. How elastic or springy is it? Tensile strength. If you pull on it, when will it break? Flexure modulus. Very similar to elastic, I suppose, but I don't know. Flexure strength and shear modulus, or if you were to press on it, would it shear and break across or with the grain? Across grain, it shows this number, and along the grain, it shows this number. So what I did was I looked for things that matched. Now, cutting to the chase, the glass fiber reinforced epoxy had many hits in many areas, most of it along the grain. Yes, these are different items, and not all of them showed up in all of them, obviously. But a lot of them showed up in that. Polyurethane foam, while it matches up here, sort of, not really, it's actually in the low end for doing any of the densities. It really isn't going to work very well. It does hit reasonably okay for a cross-grain outer bone surface for flex. Anyway, now on the other materials that were tested, besides basically fiberglass, oak only worked along the grain for kind of, not even a really good match all the time, for about half the items needed to make a good simulant. In both ways. They skipped this area entirely, and one didn't get this one, and one didn't get this one. What about lingam vitae? It's a type of material. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hits here. Again, that's a little bit better than oak, but it has only 3 over here, but we're getting better. But again, glass reinforced material, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right there, and 1, 2, 3 here. It seems a combination of wood and fiberglass would be needed for such simulants. And over here we get spruce across the grain hitting all of them, but only poorly in some cases. Anyway, I'm producing this mostly because it might be helpful for those of you who are looking it up. Thanks for watching, have a good day, and good luck with all that.